Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I get to welcome back our good friend, Sara Tomko. So welcome, Sara.
Hi. I'm so happy to be back, Michael.
I know we were chatting offline, so we already did our introductions and hellos and all that stuff.
We did. We've been talking for a while now about age, diet,
all the important stuff.
About Paris, about Europe.
We went through our beauty routine, everything.
Wish you guys could have been here, but I guess you gotta just be our friend.
I should record some of those conversations, and
why not?
That could be like bonus content.
That's right. Don't they have that where you can, like, as long as the Patreon, the people get a part of that to get the bonus content?
Maybe that's, I need to look into that.
Behind the interviews, BTI.
They're probably thinking, we get enough of this guy. We do not need to see behind the interview.
No. I think I always find it fascinating to listen to anybody that I've watched on screen or, just, I guess, of some sort of celebrity status. I'm always curious to hear about their normal everyday lifestyle.
I am too.
It makes you feel so much more, they feel relatable, and it feels so much more achievable what they're doing with their lives. And you're like, I could look, we're like that. We drink the same LaCroix. Like, yes, maybe I could get an Oscar too one day. Like
I could act. I'm obviously doing the right thing.
Affirming,
drinking LaCroix.
So I totally like behind the scenes. So just, for your Patreon down the line.
That's right. I saw you've been podcasting with Alice a little bit.
I was, yeah.
What was your episode?
She has it. Well, I'm not a Treks watcher.
I didn't think you were. But it's Deep Space Nine, right?
Yes, and it was so good. It was like a two-parter episode. It kicked off the season, and it's her podcast is Treks in the City, and it's so fun. And her and her podcast partner are we were having a blast laughing, but I was mostly just having a blast at how great the story was and how intimate too the characters were with each other. And it just, man, I didn't realize.
That's a great show.
Yeah, I didn't realize Treks had it going on like that. Yeah. So
well, let me ask you this: was Cisco, the commander of the station? Yeah. Did he have a goatee or did he have hair?
He had a goatee.
Yeah, that's the cool Cisco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He had goatee, and he seemed very confident and like had swagger.
Yeah, that's it. He got the goatee, and it's like he got swagger.
Yeah, that's it. So it was really fun. She invites me to do. I've done like podcasts with her, and I've done where she does Twitch, where we do like she plays Zelda, and I watch her.
She's awesome on Twitch.
So it's always nice to be with her in the room, just hanging out.
I don't know. I talked to her last week. She came on last week, and it was pretty.
How is she? I haven't seen her in a little bit.
Well, she's great. She's very busy.
Mm-hmm.
She's self-busy.
Yeah.
Like she keeps herself very busy.
She really does.
I fussed at her a little bit because I'm like, I've had you on a couple of times, and there's some evidence that I kind of like Star Trek. Haven't
Right?
been invited on the podcast yet, so I
Oh,
talked
you
at her.
busted your balls. I love that. Good for you. You
Yeah,
should
but
be
Alice,
invited. I'm going to tell her that next time I
yeah,
see her too. I'll
well,
be
yeah,
like,
give her a hard time, but
I will.
you can't win against Alice,
No,
because
Alice wins
she's a
every.
comedian, so she can handle,
That's right.
and give it right back to you.
That's
I
right.
did not win that exchange.
Well, Michael, you never will,
No,
but
I
I will
know.
certainly put in a good word for you.
See, I think that the last time you and I talked, I told you that at some point I'd like to work out with Alice, because she's such a kind of a warrior working out. And I
Yeah.
think that's it. We need to podcast while we're working out.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Actually, that's really smart. That's also a little behind the scenes content all in one.
that's right.
So you're right there figuring
I
it
know.
out.
I
Michael,
know.
you're on it.
I know. I tried. I put my best effort into it. So, well, yeah, give her a hard time.
I will. I
I would
will.
appreciate it.
I love to give her a hard time, in fact. What you got for me today? I'm so
You
excited. I
know,
don't know what you're gonna ask. Like this is so
I know,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I
I don't even know what we're gonna talk
well,
about today.
I haven't seen you, I don't think, since we did the panel, which was like
Yes.
a year ago February, I think, is when we
Yeah.
did that. The
Yeah.
best time.
I
That
know
was
we
a
had
lot for me. I've done a lot of panels, but that was a big one.
that was a very big one because it was like an official press panel. And
Mhm.
so it was like a 3 hour day. And it just felt like it was, I remember we love that, but it always feels like you forget how many questions can be asked and how long it can go, you
It's a
know?
long one.
Or you're like, we were sort of like by the end of it, we were like, whoa. So it was such a nice, so nice to see you come in there because it's like you're a familiar face, it's fresh, it
Yeah.
keeps it like, you're not, no offense to any other panelists, but you just kind of feel like you kind of get into a little bit of a robotic zone,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
we did not get robotic. We had the best time. And it was
Yeah.
all you guys, of course, but it
It
was the
was
best
all three
time.
of us.
Yeah. I was so sick during that panel.
You were.
I was. Well, I've got Parkinson's that showed up last year, right?
I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah. So I got
sorry.
diagnosed last year. Well, I was suffering symptoms when we did that panel, and I thought I had gotten cross contaminated with gluten. I've got celiac,
Right.
so I was miserable. But the panel went great, and then
Yeah,
it turned
no,
out
I
it.
wouldn't have had no idea that you were
Yeah.
going through something,
Well,
but
it
also
took about
thank
six
you for
months
sharing
of
that with
tests,
me.
and
What have you
then
learned about your because what I know about Parkinson's is that it's very specific to your body
yeah,
and
yeah,
your
it is. It's
time
different
frame.
for everybody.
Yeah, what have you learned about
Well,
yours?
I'll tell you how I knew I was having some type of issue because um my my face was getting tight right through here. And
Yeah.
I was struggling sometimes to pronounce things, and I was just struggling with that.
Yeah.
And I run, but I was starting to drag my left foot, and I was like, well, none of this is good.
Yeah.
But it was kind of off and on. I'd have trouble and then I wouldn't. And I was like, well, maybe I'm tired. I didn't think too much about it. And then I started getting sick in January. And I thought I had been cross contaminated. I just got back from a trip, thought I was cross contaminated. So I started going through the test. They tested my heart and my brain. All that
Wow.
came up negative. And then the last test they did was Parkinson's. It came up positive. I was like, well, shoot.
Wow.
But that's what was like I was really having a hard day. But when I get going, and I don't know if it's the you get kind of it's Parkinson's is lack of dopamine. So if I'm having a good time, I'm happy. I probably got more dopamine going on. So I did pretty well, I think, during the interview. But
Yeah. Well, I
I'm
have no
doing a
idea.
lot better now that I'm on medicine. Much better.
Yes. Yes. I have a loved one who's going through that very recently, and we're learning a lot now about how specific it is to your body and the kind of medicine that you can get, and how sometimes there's other things like working out or diet,
Yeah,
obviously, that can always be helpful, but it can't necessarily stop the symptoms, and that is just sort of a slow progression.
it
So
is. I mean, I've
I
got
hope
it
you're,
pretty
you
well
know,
under.
if I was a doctor, I'd say your positivity is going to keep you healthy for a long, long time.
I
So I'm
appreciate that.
hopeful that that will be a part of your diagnosis in the
I think
future.
it, I think it will. I really do believe that. I think it will. Most of my trouble happens after the sun goes down, which is so weird.
Interesting.
So the only one that ever really sees me struggling has so far has been my wife because
Right.
usually
There's
at
a thing called
night.
the iceberg disease when it comes to Parkinson's. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't heard of this.
Um, Look it up because
I'm writing it down.
I just learned about it, and basically on the surface is the actual iceberg, that you
Yeah,
can see. On the surface is what we see as, physical Parkinson's symptoms.
that's right.
But below the surface is everything that you're dealing with that I can't see,
That's right.
that is like constant. And a lot of it happens at night sweats, like
Oh.
like
Well,
loss.
the way my doctor kind of explained, my neurologist, was that I'm fighting like my body's fighting against itself all day. Because initially I was like, I'm so tired. Like by the end of the day, I'm just exhausted, and it's because my body's just fighting the symptoms. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't even realize it's doing it. I just know that I'm fatigued.
Right.
Which I'm not
Well,
really now.
it's something that you probably, the iceberg disease was happening to you too, because you didn't even know what was going on
That's
under
right.
the surface. Anyways, it's just it's an interesting way to look at Parkinson's because there's so much more going on than we
Oh yeah,
realize. So anyway, I'm with you. My heart is with you and
I
your wife.
appreciate
And
it. It's
I'm glad.
very interesting and I've talked to different people that have had stuff, and everybody
Sure.
has different symptoms.
That's right. That's why you just have to listen to your own body, take your time, and, be honest and truthful with yourself, and you'll figure out what's best
Yeah,
for you. You and your doctor, obviously.
yeah. I'm doing good today, though. I've had a good day today.
You
That's
seem
what
like
I've noticed. Most days are fine. I have really good days, and then just every once in a while, it's like I fall off a cliff. But
this
then,
is feeling like 45th birthday good day. You know what I mean?
all right, all right, fair, all right, fair, all right. Enough of my nonsense. I want to before we get into Resident Alien, though. I've got a question for you. So,
Sure.
I saw that you did, or you've got a movie, I think maybe coming out that's got Terry Farrell in it.
So I was supposed to,
Yeah.
we got cast in a film together that was supposed to shoot last fall, I think. But the as it goes with independent film, the money
Yeah,
people were
that
like,
happens.
we want to see. They had already given the director money for two other films, and he was in the process of getting those in their various stages. And they basically said, you know what, we'll give you money for a third film because we believe in you and whatever. But by the time they got to shooting the third film, they actually said, you know what, actually, we're going to pause. We want to see a return on these first two before we really go all the way with this third one. So they changed their mind at the last second, which is what happens in independent
Yeah.
film all the time with money changing in the hands of people and things. And so unfortunately, we didn't get to shoot it, but we are still like aligned and meant to shoot it one day when the money comes in, but we'll see.
Someday. Well,
Yeah.
the only reason I brought that
Actually,
up.
I got a chance to do a table read though of the
Oh,
script
that's
with
cool.
Terry, and she's wonderful, and it will be so great to work with her one day, but only if the stars align. So
She's married to like Spock's son.
I didn't know that, but
Yeah,
I
she's married
knew
to
that
Leonard
from
Nimoy's
that
son,
squirrel.
Adam
Right.
Nimoy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
thought that
know
was
that.
kind of cool.
I'll have to
So I
ask her
got
about that.
I brought it up because I've got a Terry Farrell story for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Terry's great. I'm a big fan of hers. Um, in the '90s, I think I've told you this before. In the '90s, I owned a couple of comic book stores. That's how I put myself through college. I owned a couple of comic
Mhm.
stores. So I got this idea that I was going to get William Shatner to come to the store and sign autographs. And this
Okay.
is like early '90s, so there's no internet.
That's not happening yet, really,
Well,
right?
yeah. So somehow with a phone book, I got a hold of his manager. and,
That's
and,
awesome.
I was like, I told him what I wanted. And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, Bill can do that. He's like, it'll cost this much.
Hmm.
And I was like, Who else you got?
Yeah, right. You were
Because
like, that's
I
a
couldn't
little
afford Bill.
pricey. Look, I don't want to say anything bad live on air about the King William Shatner of the Treks universe. He's done a lot of amazing things for
Yes.
a lot of people. But I will say I did get to meet him recently in passing, and he well, he wasn't in the best mood. So
Oh, you got Grumpy Bill.
I got grumpy Shatner. But and then I asked someone, is like, that's probably not, and they were sort of hinting at that that's kind of the vibe most of the time. So I was like, oh no. So no shade out there, Shatner. You do you, you be
That's right.
yourself, unapologetically you. I'm just gonna not get in your way next time you need to go somewhere. We had a little run into one another.
What did you speak to him?
Um, yes, of sorts. He was trying to get somewhere and I was like, "Did you mean to go here?" And he huffed me off.
He
So,
huffed you
I'm
off.
sure I think the thing is, I think I would guess that when you're Shatner status, you probably get touched and pulled and pushed and talked
Yes.
at a lot. And probably in your free time, when you're behind the scenes in the green room with other actors, you probably don't necessarily want to be as jovial or
That's probably true. Yeah,
as
that's probably
open
true.
because you can't be open all the time. You have to save your energy, especially for your fans and especially for the events. And you know um age is a factor, time is a factor. Like, it's exhausting, these events that you go to, as
Well,
much
he's in
as,
his 90s.
yeah, I mean, the fact that he's still doing them, that's amazing. Like, he's still out there
He's
meeting
still out
fans. So I'm
there.
just like, I can't fault him for being a little cranky because he's
Well,
probably
yeah.
like, nap. You know what I mean? Like, this is way past my nap time. I'm like starting to love naps. That's like a new thing for me. I mean, I've been doing night naps for a while, which people always laugh at me because they're like, that's just you going to sleep at
That's
night.
just
I'm
bedtime.
like, no, that's me going to sleep at night for like 30 minutes and then I get up and I can stay up till 2 a.m. Like, that's, I think night naps are real. But
You
I
should you should write a book, Night
thank you.
Naps,
I
and how it can
maybe I
improve
will.
your life.
Yeah, night nap. Night nap. Sarah Tomko's life. I can only imagine, though, the little bit I've experienced of fandom. It can definitely still be exhausting where you're on all the time because you want to
I think
be,
that's the key. It's hard to
yeah,
be on all the
you
time.
want to be there with your fans. You
Yes.
want to be like, what's your name? Where are you from? Thank you for coming. Like, they've driven out to see you. They have paid this money for these tickets, these fees. They've waded through all
That's
these
right.
crazy fan waters, where it's hot and sticky and smells, and like, and then they get to your table and they just want to see you and meet you and tell you their story. And so you want to be available and
Yeah.
present. And I can see how, especially as you get older, you're like, I don't want to go outside, like, let
Yeah,
alone
yeah. No,
take a
that's
bunch
a
of,
100% true.
you
Well,
know.
yeah. So he was out of my price range, and he kept. But this guy, he's like, okay, how about this? And I was like, nope. He's like, well, how about this person? I was like, nope. And he just
Like,
kept
that's
going down the
just how
list.
you
And he's
make
like,
Terry Farrell.
well, he said, well,
Terry.
I've got this brand new actress, and she just got cast on the new Star Trek, which was Deep
And
Space
she's
Nine.
so
He's like
good.
Terry Farrell, and I was like,
So
yes,
good.
we'll take her. So she came to the store. This is like early '90s. Well, a couple years ago, I ran into her at a convention, and I was so excited to see her because it'd been 30 years or
Yeah.
35 years. I was like, Terry, I was like, do you remember? And she looked at me like I was some alien.
Well, she does that a lot. She sees a lot of aliens in her
I was
lifetime.
like, well, she's done a lot in the last 30 years. So I get that. I get that. So that's my
Oh,
Terry Farrell story. She's
that's so
terrific, though.
fun. And at the time that you asked her, that probably meant such a great deal to her because I still feel that way about anytime someone wants to interview me. I'm like, I don't I don't like the word celebrity, and I don't think I am one yet. I just feel like celebrity is a status that you reach once people know your name. Like, and I mean know your name. You know what I mean? Like people still don't necessarily like people who love the show, people who know my work, they know my
Right.
name, they know my face. But I'm not, I mean, I don't know what you call my version of fandom or stardom, but it's not celebrity. And I'm okay with that.
I never thought of that, but there is different levels, I guess.
There's different levels, and I think at the time, since Terry was new, she was probably so stoked to be interviewed by
Oh,
you.
and
And
she
I,
was
like I
terrific
said,
while she was
I'm
here.
still in a position where when I get requests to do interviews, and I hope I always remain in this position and always remain as available as I can be. But I still get really excited that people are even interested in talking to me because in a world that's changing so fast, I don't expect people. I don't I'm not constantly trying to be the trend or the brand or the thing that's in front
That's
of you.
right.
If I'm fortunate enough to book a show or a movie that ends up being really popular, well, that's one thing. And Resident Alien, while it's been popular with a lot of people, it's not like it's Stranger Things, right? It's not like we're not
Right.
at the
Right.
status of.
No, I still think it's got a cult following, I think.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
And the more people find it on Netflix, the more they fall in love with it.
that's right.
And we're all over here like, yeah, it's been 7 years. We told you so. But, you know,
I've been beating that drum. It's not
I
my
know you
fault.
have. You've been loud and clear with that drum, Michael, and I appreciate it. But that is where I feel there's a disconnect and a
Yeah,
difference between me and maybe other people of a certain status. And yet, this is why I like that behind the scenes stuff, because when you look at someone like, let's say, Meryl Streep, right, who's
that's right.
arguably considered one of the best actresses of our time, and you get a chance to see her in sort of a flawed, imperfect human way where she's just talking about like, you know, not liking olives or something, and you're just like, oh wow, she's so relatable. It feels nice to like be able to connect with people that seem like they're on this big pedestal, but the truth is nobody's on a pedestal. We put them there,
That's right.
but that doesn't mean that they're not human, that they're not flawed. And so I'm sure the point is it meant a lot to Terry at the time. And even if you got the impression she didn't remember you, I promise you it was something that meant a lot to her
Well,
then,
I'm
because
sure it did, and she probably remembered.
she
Back
probably did. She's
back
really good.
back
Yeah.
then.
She's just had a lot of interviews since then, right?
Heck
Like,
yeah.
especially in the Trex
Well,
world.
and back then I had the glorious '80s hair, so I get
Oh,
it. I look a little different now, but
oh
back
wow.
then,
Michael, I
I had
think
the
you look
hair.
good with the hair you got, or
I
lack thereof.
appreciate
But
that.
you know what? I would love to see that photo.
Oh,
So
I can bring
next
that
time we have
up.
an interview, I want you bringing me that 80s hair photo, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show it to you.
Okay,
You're gonna
good,
enjoy it.
good.
It's yeah. I had the '80s hair, and then what we used to call the porn star mustache.
Oh yeah.
That
Which
little pencil
we,
thin
we we
mustache.
recently saw that on the likes of Nosferatu.
That's right. Oh my goodness, that was the best mustache.
It's so bad. You were like, is this are we in the 70s? Is this a porno about
Yeah,
Dracula? What's happening with this movie?
yeah.
That stash was so
I enjoyed the mustache. Oh, by the way, before I forget, off track. If it helps you with William Shatner,
yes.
that I got to moderate for him when he came through town. All right, so they showed Wrath of Khan, and the
Mhm.
audience was watching it, and I was backstage. It was just the two of us having dinner,
Yeah.
and he was lovely. He was
Yeah.
asking about my podcast, my
Right.
family, tell me about his dogs. He was terrific. As soon as he walks on stage, though, it's William Shatner. I mean,
Right.
all the swagger's there.
Right.
He's kind of sarcastic. He'll give it right back to you. Totally different
See,
persona.
that's the thing. You can't, it's funny. I've had people tell me celebrity sightings and say, well, they were a bitch or they were mean or
Yeah, I don't
they,
think that's fair.
it's not fair. If I based my one instance of bumping into Shatner and him being a little cranky because he was trying to go this way and I got in his way and he's 90 and he's tired,
Yeah,
then that's not fair. I
that's right.
mean, it's it's just also not, it's judging a book by its cover, and we never know what's going on
Well, that's
underneath.
right. I mean,
And
if
until they
someone came up to
see-
like if people were coming up to me constantly, I guarantee that I wouldn't always be in a good mood.
no,
There's
and
just no way.
I think if people are constantly showing you that side of themselves, then sure, eventually you might
That's right.
get to have an opinion that is entitled to say, okay, well, I know that they're not a good person. I have enough evidence, but like that's just not that's not the case. Most of the time, you meet someone in passing, and it's like you're lucky if you meet them on a good day. Like you have to hope. I mean, because like I would think if I was Miley Cyrus and I happened to go get a Starbucks and someone bumped into me when I was like having a horrible call with my agent or something,
Yeah.
I would I'd like to believe that that person would give me some space and
Well, yeah.
recognize that like
You're allowed to have a bad day.
yes, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, I mentioned Miley Cyrus because when I used to wait tables, I waited on her and she is so kind. This
Yeah.
is talk about somebody who gets talked about, especially in the past, was talked very poorly about
She
being
was.
trashy and mean and loud.
She's so talented. Good Lord.
She is so kind. She is so genuine. And it's actually why I love that song that she wrote recently. I used to be young.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's part of, yeah, being loud and trashy. We've all been there.
That's right.
What
We all had
people
our 20s.
I'm so tired of people being judgmental of anyone really without truly knowing the facts.
I agree
So,
with that. So, okay, so Resident Alien.
Resident Alien
Have you
season
have
4.
let me start this way. Have you kept up with what's going on in the comics?
Um, a little bit. Peter Hogan, we have a great relationship with him in the show, and I follow him. And so every once in a while he'll post about the newest comic. I think Harry and Asta are like full on in a relationship, and she has like his baby or something
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this.
She just had the baby. It's the one
Yeah.
that
So
finished
I
up.
always told Chris Sheridan, who's the showrunner, I said, look, my husband and I are trying one day, if that works out and the time aligns, maybe we'll go down that
Yeah.
path. Otherwise, there's no way in hell Asta's getting pregnant anytime soon, ever again, after
Well,
all she's been through.
that's true. She's been through a rough time, and
Right.
admittedly, the Harry in the comics is not quite as alien looking as Harry in the show.
He's a lot more dapper. He's
Yeah,
got actually, what? He's got a little Michael Hall. I mean, Michael Wall, excuse
he
me.
does. He
I
does.
was going to say Michael Wall. He's got a little bit of that going on. But like he's a little bit more dapper and
Yeah,
chic. He's not nearly as a buffoon.
that's
So,
right.
a little bit easier to be attracted to, I think, in the comic
Which
as an
Peter, by the way, I've had him on the show. He is fantastic.
yes.
He's just a nice little guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. Um, so yeah, it just feels, I don't know, like even though we don't go that route with the comic book, I'm grateful we don't go that route. No offense to Alan Tudyk, I just feel like Asta and Harry are much more
I like him
respectful
as friends.
as friends. I think it's cool when you have two leads who aren't having sex. Like I
Yeah,
just think it's nice to see that and to see that there's more to explore in a love
agreed.
relationship that has nothing that's platonic, that it's complicated even if there isn't sex involved. And funny enough, there is sex involved, just not for them.
That's
It's just
right. That's right.
people.
Well, and I'm assuming, yeah, I know you can't tell us too much, although season 4 is coming soon, a couple
It
weeks.
is coming June 6th.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
like
So
less than 2 weeks
I know
away.
I'm very excited. I'm
So
very
excited. I
excited.
haven't, they keep telling me they're going to send me episodes 1 through 4 for me to have before we do any press, but I have not seen anything yet. So I have no idea. I'm just as in the dark as you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the question I have is, will this season go into more of you dealing with being a parent?
I think actually no.
Okay.
Because I think we've seen her struggle in season 1, have shame in season 2 and
That's right.
anger and resentment, and then in season 3 have resolution and relief. So I think by the time we get to season 4 and you see Jay and Asta hanging out, having conversations that are just normal, it's actually just kind of like yep, she's my daughter and I'm her mom, and that's the
Well,
way it
that's
is.
kind of what I was meaning. Or do we
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not
get to see
very.
you guys as, more of
Yeah,
a
well,
family type of
it's
situation?
not drama heavy for us
Yeah.
anymore, which is lovely. There's other things going on, obviously, in the universe, like the literal universe that Asta has to worry about. Thankfully, she no longer has to worry about her daughter. I mean, I think there's still a moment where they bicker like normal mom and
Yeah.
daughter would, but it just proves that they're on track. So
I,
you do get the answer is yes, you get mom and daughter
yeah.
content, but it's not like there's it's like they're healed. It's really
I know. I'm
nice.
kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I certainly was. I was like, this is so cool to just like, here we are, like at the diner together, like no big
I
deal.
love the and I had missed it the first time I watched it, but the in the last episode where Alan says Kalela instead of Kayla,
I
and
know.
that just cracked me up. I'm
I
like,
know.
I get that joke.
I'm so glad you did because it was actually written as Kayla, but he kept pronouncing it Kayla, and that's because he knows Kayla who plays Jay. And it was just this, I mean, I remember that moment actually. Chris had us improvise in the moment on the day, and that was one of those improvised moments where he said Kayla, and I was like, her name is not Kayla. You're saying it wrong. It's so
I
good.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed it the first time I watched it, but there's a lot going on. So who knows?
Yes.
But I caught it the second time.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it's a little Easter egg that now other people can go back and
Yeah,
see.
now they go
Good
check
catch.
that out.
Good catch.
Well, I try. I try. I asked Alice this one, so I'll ask you.
Okay.
Of like one of the reasons I think the show is so great is because we've got to see all the characters develop over time. They've sometimes when you have ensemble shows, they don't do a great job with the character development, but Resident Alien really does. So the question I have was, who do you think, which character has grown the most since the opening? Like, because I was thinking maybe Sheriff Mike, but then you think about Darcy. Darcy, she changed a lot.
Yeah,
Your character's been through a ton, and then Meredith's character was. I mean, she went
absolutely.
through a lot.
I mean, it's like bare bones Kate compared to like this meaty, juicy
Yeah,
storyline we
exactly.
agree. I think I'd have to say though, after even with all those names put forward, I think I'd have to say Harry has changed the
Yeah,
most.
yeah. Well, he's
Yeah.
changed so much.
Yeah, because he comes to the planet not even knowing how to speak human,
Yeah,
like language. That funny montage of him biting into glass and not knowing, eating soap and not knowing how to brush his teeth. Like, and even season one, you see him, Alan Tudyk, experimenting with how alien he is. Like he was trying
yeah,
things out every episode because he wasn't sure, it was like Alan was trying to figure out how far along Harry would be at this point, and we kept changing when we were shooting, what we were shooting, and we'd have to keep reminding ourselves, oh no, this is so Harry's further at this point, or he's less,
that's right.
involved at this point. I mean, so season one was sort of a roller coaster ride for both of us, mainly because I was just locked in next to him. I wasn't even, I wasn't even it wasn't necessarily my ride. I was just along for the ride, just
Right.
watching him go on this journey. But to see that, in season two, he sort of kind of goes through this adolescent, tantrumy kind of babyish phase where he's throwing fits and he's touching things and I mean, I'm constantly following him in season two, like a mom, just
Yeah,
and then so now he wants to try everything. And then season three, he experiences love for the first time. So it's very teenager related. And so by the time we get to season four, he has really, if we were speeding the plow of like an animal's
yeah,
lifespan, age 0 to 2, they're a baby. But then once they get to like 2 to 4, they're kind of teenager years. And then
yeah.
beyond 4, it's like they're an adult.
That's
That's
right.
kind of where we're at with him. It's like he's reached adult status. He's got to deal with very human things this
Yeah.
season. the most human that he's dealt with before, in ways that he doesn't even know how to quite wrap his head around it. In fact, it's sort of a similar roller coaster ride to me watching Alan in season 1, but I watched him in the complete opposite way in season 4, trying to figure out how human he was versus how in season 1 how alien he was.
Yeah.
And it's it's been, I think, a huge trajectory from point A to point B for him, where he has really taken a dive. And while Darcy's changed and Sheriff Mike has softened and Kate has boldened and Asta has forgiven, Harry has altered and evolved the most.
That's a
Because
good answer.
yeah, um he's definitely, in some ways it's a lot like from The Fifth Element. What's her name? Where she has to read the things so quickly. It's
Yes.
almost like the amount of time she takes to read all that and get all that info is what Harry's doing season 1 through 4. And he finally gets to 4 and is like, okay, now I know what it is to be human. But now I have
Now
to
I
do
can be a
it.
human.
Yeah, but now I have to do it and I don't want to, because I don't want to be here, but I do want to be here, but I don't. Like, he still struggles a lot. So it's like I think that's the answer.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting question for me because all of you have grown
Yes. And
with
we
your
would have,
characters.
right? But we evolve at a normal human pace.
Right.
He's evolving at this like exponential level beyond us because he has to actually
That's right.
evolve
That's
and
right.
survive and be with us on this planet. He has to go light years faster than us.
Do
And
do you have to do you have to explain like this? Speaking of changes, is there any explanation for Judah this year? Because I saw him in in our panel last year, and he was so different looking than what he looked
well,
like in season
Judah, I
three.
mean, this is the trope with child actors, right? Like,
Yeah.
Judah is experiencing now what a lot of child actors experience, which is puberty. It's
Yes.
just, he was a certain age when he got hired, which was 8,
Well,
and
that's what it's. I mean, this is
now he's
season 4, but it's
15.
taken you 7 or 8 years to get there.
Exactly. We didn't always have that as the plan. And we've actually said before, there was a young actor that was supposed to play Max, and he played him in the pilot. And he, from season 1 to season 2, we've talked about this before as our cast. We're like, could you imagine if he was still Max? He looked like he was 20 in by the time we got to season 2. That
Oh,
young man sprouted quick and
wow. Yeah.
fast,
Well, they do that.
tall, and we were fortunate that our Max Judah, um he didn't sprout like that as quickly. So he went from like age 8 to about age 12 sort of looking the same,
Yeah.
and kind of keeping the shortness and kind of keeping that like childlike figure, but somewhere between puberty, 12 and
Yeah. Yeah.
15. And then we take 2 years off for a strike.
Right.
All of a sudden you come back, he's 15, he's got like GQ headshots, he's 25. You're just like, what happened? And so obviously everybody forgives it in the world of
Yeah. Well, you
children,
have
but
to.
I actually laughed and said this recently to Chris. I said, you know what's not forgiven though is just general aging on screen. It's fine for kids, but I'm
Right.
sorry. We've all been on this screen for 7 years, and it's supposed to have only been a year in patient's
Yeah.
world. Like, even if I'm doing everything I can to moisturize my face and keep myself, like looking good, I'm still 7 years older than I was when I did that pilot. I look at myself
Crazy.
in the pilot as a baby. So it's easier for Judah, to get away
Yeah.
with it, and for all of our fans to just be like, well, that's puberty. But honestly, all of us have changed, and we've all evolved,
Yeah.
and we've all aged to a certain extent on screen, to the point where I mean, I think it's beautiful to show that, but I also think it's hard for us as a cast sometimes to watch it and go, man, I was a baby 7 years ago. Why did it have to, I'm so grateful that our show has survived this long, but 7 years and only 4 seasons because of COVID taking 2 years and strike taking 2 years. That's 4 years out of a 3-year relationship we
Yeah.
were supposed to have with this show. You
I
know,
know. We should honestly, like now, it should be wrapping up if it
yeah.
had a
I
normal
mean, the
progression.
thing is, if we hadn't have had COVID and strike interrupt us, we would have had 6 seasons by now.
Yeah.
I truly believe we would have gone the whole, because we've still gone the whole way. We
That's
went
right.
all 7 years with a pilot included, that we would have had 6 seasons instead of 4 seasons. But you're right. At this point, I think even though we're not officially canceled, and there's always still the possibility that our industry will pivot and decide we want you for 2 more years,
That's
like
right.
we have all prepared for the fact that this feels to us like an end a little bit. At the
Yeah.
very least, season 4 felt like, when we were shooting it, like the end of a story arc. It doesn't mean necessarily it's the end of a series, but it felt story arc wise like we got to wrap it up so
Yeah.
that if we do come back for a season 5, we can start fresh somewhere. We could be 5 years later
Well, I
still.
was going to ask you that. I'm assuming that we kind of get that at the end of this season. You get closure, but it leaves it open ended enough in case it comes back.
I think it's always, I mean, there's definitely closure on a lot of things that have been open-ended for all,
Yeah.
a few seasons, but the way that Chris has written it is that patience is a place where things happen. It doesn't, these characters and these people will always live there, and patience will always be a place that aliens come to. So it's like, if we continue on past this, this season 4 arc,
Yeah.
anything could happen. I mean, Will Ferrell could be an alien who comes to visit and hangs out. Jack Black, Edie Patterson, who plays Heather, could come back and decide she wants to take over with her birds. Like, honestly, so many weird things could happen in this town because we've established, the writing team has
That's right.
established, this is a place where the weird and the magical happen. So it's a really great general open ending for a series, because it's like, even if let's just say we were canceled, we could literally come back 5 years from now and start anywhere. And that's a beautiful thing, because you're seeing that happen a lot with
Yeah.
Ted Lasso and
Yeah.
Scrub, and even Malcolm in the Middle just
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
It's like, we're prepared for whatever's to come, but we've also talked about the possibilities of, maybe in the future, if this doesn't last as long as we thought, maybe in the future we come back for a mini series
That'd be
or for a
awesome.
movie, or
Well, you'll
God,
have the fan
that,
support for
right?
that.
That'd be so cool. So it's nice to feel that there's closure, that it's closed to a certain extent, but that it's always open-ended because it's patience.
Yeah. I like that. That was
Yeah.
pretty good. You
Yeah.
you got pretty good outlook on this stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
Did I miss? Was there a hint that Asta has some type of connection to Grey's in her background? Did I miss that?
There is a small hint at the end of season 3 between, it's her and Joseph and Harry having a conversation in the
Yeah,
living room about asking Joseph to help us. And he's a hybrid. He's a Grey hybrid.
that's right.
And even though he's been a bad guy up to this point, we basically say we can't survive without Grey help. So you're a Grey hybrid. You have a chance to, you've been a bad guy, but you have a chance to change it around, get
That's
on
right.
our side, be a good guy, and help us out, so that the Greys will leave Kate and the baby alone, and like we can all survive this. And like, that's the hope, right? Like,
Right.
that's what we're like, we need help. And he basically says yes, but the way that he says yes is by Harry basically saying, "I'll let Asta date you." Like, he tries to
Oh, I
bribe.
remember that.
So there is a little hint of Asta and Joseph possibly,
Okay.
we don't
Okay.
know. We don't know what happened. We don't know if they do or they don't, but we get a little teeny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'd read something about it and I was like, I must have missed that. But yeah, I remember that scene now. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm assuming we get pretty quickly find out what is happening with our mantid, whatever Harry
Pretty
that we've got going
opening
on?
episode. I mean, opening act like two. You're gonna find, some Mantid content, Harry content, Asta content, Darcy content, baby content. What happens? Does Darcy actually knock on that door? Does she give the baby back? Does she not? Like, all within the first episode. I'm actually really excited to see it because there's so many different ways it could go. And
Yeah.
I know how it went, but I still think it's fun to kind of
Oh, it
hypothesize.
is. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's exciting to talk about
I
that.
try to look at our show as a fan, and I try not to read ahead. When we do table reads
Yeah.
and sit downs, I get rid of all the pages that aren't mine. I read it one time.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't think I could do that. I'd read it
I
all
don't
probably.
like to know. I want to know my stuff because that's my character and I'm
Yeah.
responsible for her life. But if Asta's not supposed to know what's going on and live in Mike's world, then she doesn't know what's going on. I don't want to know. And I don't really do a ton of method acting, but that's one way that I am method,
I like that.
which is I want to watch the show just like everybody else going, oh, right. Like I'll
Right.
forget things. Oh, like I honestly, at the end of season 3, when Mike sees the alien,
Yeah.
I forgot completely.
Yeah.
And
He's going to have a hard time denying that now.
I was floored. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like I flipped out because it's so much more fun to watch it. And so it's actually, it's become a fun little I don't know, practice and exercise for
Yeah.
Chris and I, because now he knows that I refuse to read them ahead of time and I refuse to keep the pages. So he knows when I go to table reads, I've never seen it before. So he's constantly watching me to see my reaction as I'm going through the
Love
script
that.
for the first time and finding out what happens and then literally ripping those pages out and getting rid of it right away because I want to forget it so I can remember all over again by like watching with the fans. It makes me feel connected to the
Yeah.
pages.
That's cool. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
really
it's
like that.
funny you say that because it's the only way I can. I don't want to know because then it's like I'm convoluting my brain with all
Yeah.
this other
Yeah.
stuff that is not necessary for me as the character to exist.
Yeah. No, I actually I'm jealous of that because it would allow you to just be surprised with everybody else.
Yeah, as much as I can be. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'll get to a place where before something happens, I'll be like, "Oh, right."
Yeah,
Like I know
right.
it's coming, but I really don't remember till I watch it. I mean, and especially when we go do ADR, which is our, audio digital recording, I'll go in and I'll see clips of things and I will completely have forgotten that we shot that. I mean, I do my best to just in one brain cell and out the other.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
just it's out.
Yeah. That's not always
That's
easy, but
me.
that's really
That's
good.
right. It's not
What
always easy, but
was the mantid does he have a past relationship with Harry? Because I remember season 1, Harry mentions a mantid. Is that the mantid, or
I
is this
think,
just a one of the race?
yeah, I think we learn in season 1 that they're like, stay away from them. I think,
Yeah.
when he's going down the list of aliens
Yeah.
to pros and cons, I think
Right.
Mantid is on that list. Mantid is very much on the list of like, you don't want to deal
Yeah,
with
you don't
them.
want to mess with them. They
They
might
are
bite your
bad,
head off.
bad. But I don't think that Mantid is personal
Yeah.
to Harry. I
Yeah.
think this is just a species that happens to coexist with us that we don't know about, and we're learning they have the ability to shapeshift as they showed us
Yeah.
on season 3 and now it could be anybody, which I think is the fun of going into season 4 knowing like anybody at any time could be this bad guy, which is a really fun like, oh, am I talking to Max? Am I talking to Sheriff Mike? Am I talking to Liv? Or am I talking to the
Could be
Mantid?
anybody.
Right, anybody. Am I talking to the pizza guy? Like, like, or is it the
Mhm.
Mantid? Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's pretty fun the first couple episodes while the Mantid is around for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Well, so I know we got to wrap up, but I wanted to ask, did you get to work with Jewel at all?
Jewel?
Jewel
Oh
State?
no,
Yeah.
I didn't. I met her one day
Yeah, yeah.
She was so lovely, great handshake, very warm and light, but I actually never had any scenes with her. So it was great to meet her, and I know of her. I know of her work, so it was excited to have her on the show, but I didn't get to actually
We're
work with
kind of
her.
excited to see her and Alan together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, well, they have such a great uh back and forth, and I'm
Yeah.
just excited that she got invited to be on the show. And also Stephen Root, who is a guest
Yeah.
star. I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
get to work with him, and it was a big, I'll leave you
Love
with the
Steven.
story. I was a waitress for 10 years at Hugo's restaurant in Studio City. And I always would see all kinds of celebrities come in there. And Stephen Root and his wife were regulars. So I loved him from, The Office, and just
Oh,
like
yeah.
all these different things that he's been on. He's an incredibly talented actor.
Yeah, he is.
But I remember when I was waiting on him, I just always loved how kind his wife and him were. And I remember thinking, you know what? God, he's so kind. He's so lovely. I cannot wait to work with him one day. Like, I cannot wait to tell him one day, hey, I used to wait on you at Hugo's.
And you got to.
And I got to. When he showed up, I said, Steven, I do not expect you to remember me, but I was like your regular waiter at Hugo's with your wife. And I always wished one day I'd get to work with you, and here we are. And it was
That's
such a beautiful
amazing.
day. We took a picture. He was so honored, and I was so honored. I was just like, it's so cool to have something like that
Yeah.
manifest after so many years of like kind of having to do the daily grind and
That's right.
slugging
You
under
struggled to get
the cap,
there.
whatever, and being like, I wonder if I'll ever make it. And to know that I had a moment where I was like, hey, Steven and I are equals now.
That's
I'm not just
awesome.
bringing him his
Yeah.
fish and
Do you
chip.
ever go back to Hugo's to eat?
Yeah, he does. I mean, I'll still get takeout sometimes, but I
That's what
try
I
to
was wondering. Hey, do you go
I
back?
try to give them their space because it's their domain, and I do have friends there still, but I also, it's ever evolving. And I feel like when you go into a place that you've been, it's almost like you can never go home
You
again.
can't. That's right.
Like,
Yeah,
I've
it
tried
feels weird. It's
it
nice
feels,
in
I
some
tried
ways,
to,
but it feels weird.
people who are there are so lovely about the show. They're so supportive. But every time I've gone in, it feels almost like I'm trespassing a little bit, because I'm like, oh, I don't belong here anymore. But
Yeah.
I also came from here, and I was here for so long. And nobody, they all treat me with such kindness, but I always just feel a little bit like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now. Sorry, I came to
Okay,
visit.
bye.
So I just get to go food now. But Steven does still eat there
What's
sometimes.
the dish? If I go to Hugo's, what dish do I want?
The very green casserole. It
Oh,
is,
I do like a casserole.
it is. So you get that home cooked meal vibe to it. You can get your choice of cheese melted on top. You can get your choice of like protein on top, but it's
Okay.
basically this giant vat of yummy vegetables that's almost like a vegetable soup, with the consistency of, where you would eat, like, there's green beans and corn and
Oh yeah.
carrots, but it also has like broccolini and some like fancy veggies, and then
Yeah, it
fancy,
sounds pretty good.
so yummy and so well rounded. I remember, I mean, I craved that dish for so long.
Yeah. I grew up on casseroles. My dad was a school teacher. My mom didn't work, so we struggled with with money growing up. And we ate,
Right.
potato chip casserole, bologna casserole,
No, casseroles,
tater
that'll
tot
last a while.
casserole.
Right. You got to make things that'll be good leftovers. And that is a good leftover, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, that's not bad. That's not too
Check
bad.
it out. I mean, that's my
Well,
plug for Hugo's. It's a
yeah,
great,
yeah. I'm always looking for good restaurants, and
yeah,
I go
whenever
out
you're in
there
LA,
quite a
check it
bit.
out. They
So
have like 3 locations, I think. But usually it's like 2 taco stands and 2 restaurants, one in West Hollywood and one in Studio City. But I mean, it's delicious, and the people are so loving.
I
So
think
I was
I've
very
been past the one in West Hollywood. We stayed out there a few years back, and just didn't realize
interested. Yeah. Well,
what I was
anytime
looking at.
you're you should check it out because it's really good.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Why not?
All right.
Well, Sarah, thank
Good.
you. You're always wonderful. I love having you on the show. You're
I
just
love
the
talking
best.
to you, Michael. I love your questions. I love your energy. I love your attitude. I'm so grateful you shared that information with me at the beginning of this
Yeah, of
podcast.
course.
I'll take it with me and with my loved one, and I'll be thinking of you both and
I
sending
appreciate
you
that.
all strong healing vibes. And also, just in general, I love chatting with you. So happy to do it again anytime. And look forward to season 4 on June 6th.
I know. I know. I'm so excited about it. That's going to be the
Me
best
too.
time. We'll
Me
have a
too.
we'll
They're
have a
gonna
good
give us
time doing.
Michael, they're giving us a red carpet premiere for the first time ever because there's no COVID, no strike. We
You
finally have time
deserve
to do
it.
it. I'm gonna get all dressed up.
Where are you having it in LA or like Vancouver? Where are you
Somewhere
having?
in LA. They haven't given us any details
That's
yet.
awesome. Good for you.
I'm
You
so
guys deserve that.
yeah, we do. It's been a long time coming, so I'm gonna get I think I'm gonna get a stylist. I'm gonna do the damn thing.
Oh, I can't wait. You got to yeah, you got to post pictures of the dress and all that
I
stuff.
will. You know I will.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good.
All
Well,
right.
Sarah, I hope we get to talk again before season 5. We'll see.
You and me both.
But you know how that goes. Whatever you're doing, I'll be chasing
Yeah.
you down.
All right, let's do it. Let's just talk in the future. It doesn't even have to be about Resident Alien. We could
That's
talk
right. We'll
about
just talk.
behind the scenes stuff, you know?
Perhaps we might meet on somebody that we know's podcast about Star Trek.
Oh, I'm totally gonna push this.
Yeah,
I'm
you got to
pushing.
give her a hard time.
I will, I will.
All right, Sarah, hold on one second. One of the reasons that I'm such a fan of Resident Alien is the cast is so terrific. Absolutely love them. Sarah, I was a fan of her acting before Resident Alien. I've talked about that on here before. As a family, when the kids were still at home back then, we watched her as Tiger Lilly on Once Upon a Time, and she was also in this show with Pierce Brosnan. It's kind of a western called The Sun that I was a big fan of. So I'd seen her in some things before Resident Alien. Leftovers too. She was the cave woman. Leftovers, terrific, but by far, Resident Alien's been, in my opinion, the best thing that she has done because it's allowed her. And one of the great things that Chris, the showrunner, does is he allows his actors to have some input on their characters. He really lets them kind of explore those characters and grow into those characters. I love that. I'd love to have Chris on the show at some point, just to kind of pick his brain about the his process of putting that stuff together, because it's a very different show than the comic book, but it's similar enough, that you can enjoy both of them for different and the same reasons, if that makes any sense at all. Resident Alien comes out June the 6th. I believe it moved to USA Network, and then I'm sure season 4 will hit Netflix after that. Should be a big season for Sarah, so looking forward to that. Hopefully, if you're a Resident Alien fan, please go check out the panel interview we did last year. It will crack you up. My opinion, it's one of the better interviews that the cast has done, and that doesn't have anything to do with me. It's that's how good the cast was there. So if you're a fan, check that one out. And we've had several interviews with others on the cast, and they're all terrific. So check that out, Resident Alien playlist. You can see the interview we did with Sarah is almost 2 years ago. We did it around the 1st of June 2023. So this is her third time on the show, and it was terrific. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. If you're finding us for the first time, thank you for being here. Love to have your support. YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it really helps us out. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find, if you can believe it, we're going to hit episode 1000 next month. And you can find all of those audio and video versions. If we're doing something in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, anything we have going on, be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. Hopefully I did a little better this time. I have a tendency, especially with people that I like, that I get along with, to just keep talking. And poor Sarah, the last time, she had other interviews to do, and I was just yapping away and held her up too long. So hopefully I did a little better wrapping that up this time. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.